All right. It is. Ooh, what happened there? I have no clue. But welcome back to week 4 of the BBBN podcast. Giving my reactions about what happened in the latest episode of BattleBots. Week 4. Pretty solid week. All things considered. Lots of peaks and lots of valleys. Definitely, but the peaks were really peaky, but the valleys were like the Great Canyon, like really deep. Overall, I do think this was a good episode. It was really, I don't want to say weird, but we did have 8 robots get their first fights in, and 6 robots get their second fights in, and I'll cover the robots that didn't battle first before we go to the robots that have battled before. So, all right, I just lost a Pokemon card. That's great. But before that was what that sound was. All right. Before you do anything, before I get started, please make sure you like and subscribe, and you comment about what you thought about the episode and what you think about my show. Just thank you so much for watching and listening. We're starting to cultivate something that's really good. Slowly but surely we will get there. But yeah, let's get into the fights. We started off with Black Dragon and Monsoon, and I'll sort of say what my predictions were. Predictions for me went really well. I went 5-2. This episode bringing me back to 14-14, right around 500. We need to get to a point where the threshold happens. But there was a lot of matchups that I really considered toss-ups during the episode, and this was most certainly one of them. You have Black Dragon, who is a very consistent robot. They don't get knocked out. They don't get KO'd. It's not a thing that's in them to do it. I didn't even know the statistic that they've had 21 straight fights where they haven't been knocked out, which is absolutely crazy. But like, reliability of Black Dragon might just have the best reliability in the field, and that's no slouch. When your weapon dies, when something goes wrong, if you still have that reliability, like, that's great. It went against Monsoon, who hasn't been in the competition since 2019, sort of roped in with the same group of Quantum and Death Roll of robots that haven't competed since 2019, and I sort of came to the consensus with all 3 of them that I would need to see them fight first before I could actually formulate an opinion. But it did look like Monsoon did the most to rebuild and redefine the robot, which, I mean, in my opinion, Monsoon looked great in this fight until it stopped working. That's not a bad thing that it stopped working, but you can definitely see, like, they struggled during, like that, the fight. Like, once the weapon was down, they couldn't really do much. And honestly, it was a comeback for Bloodsport, because I think if Bloodsport, Black Dragon, jeez. Yeah, comeback for Bloodsport. Yeah, they popped in like halfway through the fight and then beat the shit out of Monsoon and Black Dragon. No. But comeback for Black Dragon, because once that weapon stopped and once Black Dragon got that big hit, it kind of swayed the momentum, because Monsoon got those first, like, big hits in, and it was pretty convincing. Like, I picked Black Dragon mainly because of the Monsoon having battling since 2019, and, Black Dragon's reliability. That's sort of what I was going off of. But, like, those first, like, 45 seconds to a minute where, like, Monsoon just kept on getting hit after hit off of it, I was just like, this is a bad pick. Like, Monsoon looked strong. I'm even going to say this, even though its weapon died, that was a good loss. It got a lot of shots in. I think you are looking at a dark horse for a deep run with Monsoon. If it fixes its reliability with its weapon. Like, that weapon dished out a lot of hits. And props to Black Dragon, who took the hits well. I'm going to give it a great win because, there's not a lot of robots that can take those such big hits early on and then win the fight. Yeah, a lot of things went right for Black Dragon to have that, but this is a robot that's really strong, and it's also probably the strongest Black Dragon we've seen. I don't remember Black Dragon ever doing that much damage. I don't remember that at all. And to see that damage, the damage that I expected Monsoon to do to Black Dragon, not the other way around, with that one big hit that just sent Monsoon flying. But honestly, this was a good fight, good opener, and we were 1-0 on the start with my predictions. And I mean, if Monsoon will be able to fix its reliability, then it should be fine. Moving on to probably the I don't want to say saddest because we'll get to that later. the most what the fuck happened fight. Like, there's a lot of things that like I need to get explained for the fight, and since I've just finished watching it, I don't have any context of why Emulsifier sort of shut down. But that's what Emulsifier did. I did end up picking Malice, partially because of the forks. I thought the forks were going to be a lot more effective, and that wasn't really the case. Forks weren't that effective, and then Emulsifier got like a big shot that like bent up the frame. Great shot, by the way, by Emulsifier, but I don't know what happened in the exchange of it getting flipped self-righting that it stopped, because it looked like they were using the treads to self-right, and then as soon as they got face up, it was just kind of kaput from there. It's very interesting because Kenny or Chris said it best when they said, if things play out differently in both of Emulsifier's fights, we would be talking about a 2-0 rookie bot, and that's not what like our reality is. In an alternate timeline, Emulsifier is being talked as like the next end game or the next Cobalt, because it's taking hits, it's dealing hits. Like, there's like in an alternate universe that would be what was happening. It's so like weird because I remember praising Emulsifier about being super reliable and taking so many hits against Fusion, and then as soon as it, like, Malice did not get a shot off. Like, Malice didn't get a shot off at all. It was almost like a Sub-Zero Jackpot from 2020, where Sub-Zero was controlling that fight. Jackpot like does one decent thing, and then Sub-Zero it's out, it's gone. You can't deal with it. This is the most shocking fight, and probably the saddest fight as well. But I don't want to rank these. I mean, I have to give Malice in the win category. If I could give it a bad win, I would, but that feels a little too demeaning. Definitely the most lackluster win of the season, sadly, but I don't know. There's not much to take. I thought the forks would be more effective, and they weren't. It's just a shock because I really do like Malice, and I really think that maybe their bigger drum spinner once again could have done better. But that's a discussion for a different time, because I don't know what to say about this fight other than what I said already. Like, Emulsifier got that shot off, but also the reliability inconsistencies are they're very much icky. They're very icky. But next we go to Overhaul Starchild. And this was coming into the episode. I was just like, I'm not gonna like this fight. Isn't gonna do much for me. This fight isn't gonna do a lot for me. And it was probably like a solid. It was a solid, entertaining fight. Both of these robots, I didn't necessarily have high expectations for. Star Child looks horrendous. It looks hideous. I don't like looking at its face. Be thankful that the little image is too small to actually see the face of Star Child, because it's like from my nightmares, like it's my paralysis demon. And Star Child is an interesting concept, right? We can say at least Star Child is an interesting concept. Works well in beetle weights and ant weights and whatnot. But there's a part of me that wonders, after seeing the fight, how effective Star Child is in heavyweights. You can clearly see, if you want to, you can rewatch the replays. I certainly did while I was like, so why isn't Star Child performing the way it did? Star Child would stop when it ran into overhaul. And then to get the hammer to drop, you move backwards. Now, when you move backwards... I know. Great analysis, Caleb. You're doing such a good job with the analysis. But you're backing away, meaning that your hammer swing is going to be a lot shorter instead of like the full circumference that you're swinging at. Because your circumference is moving backwards, you're going to have... You're not going to have as much reach as you would need. Like, for this concept to work, you need to go forward and then break on a dime, like what Zelensky said in the pre-fight like interview thing, the little segment. And he didn't do like it. Some of the replays, it just didn't look like he was doing that. And Star Child was able to get some good shots off. I'm not going to discredit them. I'm not going to. But Star Child was able to get some good shots off, but not like the Sawblaze level shots where it's getting into the armor of Overhaul and whatnot. And credit to Overhaul, when you face a robot that is like huge and is like Star Child, like realistically you can't do a lot to get to like the actual chassis and lift the chassis. And Overhaul was tall enough to do it. Kenny was even doubting that. Chris and Kenny were even doubting that they could do it. And Overhaul could do it. It was a good showing for Overhaul. Long awaited good showing for Overhaul. I would say it was a good win. What's holding it back from a great win is it did take some decent shots from Star Child. I would say this is a good win for Star Child as well. Overhaul like way exceeded expectation. I picked Star Child just because I was just like, yeah, that weapon's gonna like clip a wheel or gonna clip like the lifting mechanism, and the lifting mechanism is gonna be stuck, or like the wheel's gonna come off. Their driving's not gonna be as good after that. And I really did see this as a toss-up. But honestly, good fight for Overhaul. He was able to control it a lot more than I thought he was. That Overhaul was going to. I mean, props for them. What is their next matchup? Claw Viper is another control bot. That's going to be a fun fight, actually. Potentially going 3-1. Definitely. I mean, we're going to talk about Shredder Bro later, but potentially going 3-1, 2-2. Like, honestly, if you're a grapple bot and you can get 2-2 in a season, that's a successful season, because you don't have like an active spinning weapon. You're doing your best to control the matchup, and as the control bot. Wow, great analysis, Caleb. Thank you, Caleb. But yeah, Good win for Overhaul. We go now to our midway major. It almost felt like nostalgic. Now you might be saying, BBBN, what was nostalgic about this fight? It brought me back. What Gruff did brought me back to like the Bronco days, like season 3 and 4, where they would just add stuff to their robot. And ultimately, it didn't work out. Like, the main one that I think of is when they fought Huge, and they added, like, a bunch of, like, top armor and stuff like that. That Huge could get under and rip up. And, I mean, Huge got under it and ripped up. It was very, very, like, nostalgic for that. And at first I thought that it was gonna work. The little front one, like the front one, as you saw during the fight, Quantum didn't go for the front at all. But Quantum also knew that the sides were probably really weak because they were just most of it was just suspended into the air. So if they could crush that defense is down. I am in love with Quantum. Quantum is incredible. It is the best control bot ever. Even before this season, you could say that Quantum was the best control bot ever. But now you can really say it. Like, holy crap. Big win. Big win. Now, the only thing that I think Quantum has against it is 2-0. Impressive 2-0 wins. Have not faced a really strong spinner yet. They played Captain Shredderator. Captain Shredderator is not a great spinner. It's not a good spinner. They went against Gruff. Against Gruff, yes. They went against Gruff. There we go. And that wasn't a spinner at all. But also is a tank and is able to withstand a lot of hits. And for a Crusher, no spinning weapon at all. And for a Crusher to get a KO on Gruff, it did so well. I did pick Quantum to win this fight because I was like, Gruff has no hinges on it. It doesn't have any like hinge wedges. And, you know, the front of Quantum has that little lip that is wedged. Quantum can easily win the ground game, and while Gruff is a brick, Quantum is way faster than Gruff. Point blank, that's just what it is. Like, you have to commend Gruff for at least trying and inventing new ideas, but also at the same time, it didn't work. It didn't work as I think Gruff thought it would, but they pulled a Bronco and just slapped shit on and hoped and prayed that it worked, and that didn't happen. As soon as I smelled the smoke, wow! As soon as I saw the smoke, I was like, "That's it. That's donezo. Quantum found something, and they're gonna win now." And I couldn't be happier. Next up, we have Kraken versus Beta. Beta is gonna end up. Beta and Kraken are gonna be in the conversation of most improved robots. Kraken for the fact that the spinner did a lot of damage. Right? Spinner did a ton of damage. Not like levels of Monsoon or Black Dragon in this episode, but it was able to actually get in some decent shots. That first shot was like that was a solid first shot, and then I thought they were going to clip a wheel when they got to the back. And if they did, I think the fight would have been a lot quicker and a lot more in favor of Kraken. This was in the sense of damage. This was a solid loss. Like, this was a good loss in my opinion. The only thing I am concerned about with Kraken is the wheels and the traction. It wasn't able to move as well as I thought it would be. You know, it got the 4-wheel drive train. I thought it would be able to glide around the box a lot better. And it was like waddling over. It was waddling during the fight. And then you got Beta, who is most improved not because they made additional changes to the robot. But I do like, the one thing I do like is the heavy armament configuration with the smaller, almost Thor-like hammer. Thinking about Thor, speaking about Thor, the driver of Thor is now the guy running the hammer, and he is aggressive. Watch Thor's fights in Robot Wars, and you can just see, like, once per fight, Thor is just going to town if he gets under a robot, and he just doesn't care where he hits. If he hits, he hits, and I think that's really good for Beta because it's a hammer bot. You win by hitting a bunch, not by soaking up damage. Don't tell 2020 wrote Beta that, but you don't win as a hammer bot by just not using your hammer. And they won as a hammer bot because they kept on using the hammer. That shot while breaking their weapon, broke Kraken's weapon more. And the fact that Jason was able to use the weapon even after it was bent and all loopity-doopity, it was very fun to see. Very entertaining to watch. He just kept on swinging it, and I'm just like, there's no shot that he's actually landing these shots. And then he kept on hitting Kraken, and Kraken's like decorative stuff were falling off. And I just go, that did work now, didn't it? But great win for Beta. Teetering between, it's like between good and great win. I think I will give the nod to Beta for a great win. Looking great. It fights Shatter next, and that's gonna be a great fight. Before I talk about Shredded Bro and Horizon, man, I love the concept of everybody getting 4 fights, and hopefully I'm like all 4 of the fights are getting aired. But that leads to fights like this that were basement level fights. All the other fights that had like lower seed players, what I'm saying, like not good robots. I don't want to even like saying that, but like fights like Banshee and Switchback were entertaining. This fight was a slog, other than the one hit that Shredded Bro had. Nothing remarkable happened in this fight. I think Horizon it is a beautiful robot, but it's such a out there design that you have to have it run perfectly in order for it to succeed. And Pain Train had that one little shot on the one spinner, and then that spinner was done. That spinner was out. So you lose, like what Kenny was saying, like if they got like the centrifugal force from both spinners, it spins the main body. You lose that. You lose that, and we saw that. I mean, Horizon couldn't do much when it's just T-posing and just standing there and just like spinning its wrist while T-posing. Like, you can't do much with that. Like, you can't go straight on with Shred It Bro and not hit, like, and you can't get a hit off because you're just going straight while T-posing with only your one arm just, like, flailing around. Like, I don't know. I think Horizon might be the worst battle bot this season, so far at least. Shredder Bro didn't look good either. I'm not gonna give Shredder Bro, like, get it off the hook because, you know, it had that big shot and it got the win. No, it also looked shit. It also looked so bad. So not bueno. Like, that's probably the worst that, like, Brazilian wheels have looked in battle bots ever. Like, there was no traction. There was nothing like that. And it's so sad because its design is definitely ripping off Copperhead, and Copperhead's such a way better bot. Copperhead is such a way better bot than Shred It Bro. But it's not looking good for Shred It Bro. I think they won this off of luck. If this was earlier seasons, Shred It Bro might have been counted out multiple times because it moved like 2 inches, then stopped for 5 seconds, and then moved 6 inches, and then stopped for 7 seconds, and then it moved a foot, and somehow Horizon, like, went into it, and then boom, giant shot that left Horizon on the side, and just have nothing to add. But oh my goodness, the night and day between Horizon and Pain Train, Shred It Bro, my bad, to Hypershock and Whiplash. Great fight. This was a fun fight to watch. Great fight all around. I picked Hypershock to win this just because they're more aggressive and their weapon is more powerful. I do realize, like, when I picked Hypershock, I was aware of the idea that Whiplash would be able to get under him, flip them, and then control the fight from there because Hypershock is flipped. And that's what happened for about, like, the first half of the fight. Whiplash early was able to get a flip on Hypershock. Hypershock not looking the best when it's upside down. I love how Will Bale's wife is just like, yo, yeah, you got a gyro dance, homie. And then Will Bales goes, oh shit, yeah, you right. And then does the thing to get itself righted. And then Will Bales went to town. He went to town on Whiplash. And it was very fun. There were no, like, big shots that sent, like, Whiplash flying, like, 8 feet in the air. The continuous barrage of flurries that happened during the fight, it got to Whiplash. I don't think we have ever seen... Well, we have seen Whiplash this weak or, like, defenseless when it comes to armor. You look at, like, the Tombstone fight, the Bioforce fight, where it was just left in shambles. This is, like, the first time that Whiplash has been having, like, has been taking hits and not being able to come back from it. It happened with Mad Catter in a couple big shots, and Whiplash couldn't overcome that. And then Hypershock somehow was able to take off the inside paneling and rip the batteries out. Like, that part blew me away. I was just like, wait, where are the batteries coming from? Because the top is fine and the bottom is fine. And then I watched the replay, And he got him from the side, inside the robot, which, like, the inside arm, which wouldn't necessarily be susceptible to damage because normally the lifter's there. That was honestly a crazy fight. When you play sports and you're 0-1, you will do anything to get the win. We saw Whiplash do all of it that it could do to get the win with that flip, and we saw Hypershock all it could do with just pure brute forcing that. Pure brute force. And I mean, Will Bells did say it best when he said, luck and brute force, that's all we had. And that's basically Hypershock's strategy. And good win for Hypershock. What can I say? Whiplash is in a hole. A hole I think that they can get out of, but a hole nonetheless. It's rough to say that, to predict if it's going to make the tournament or not, because, you have to win out, and you're facing Monsoon and Tantrum. Both fights I think pretty winnable. You have Monsoon. If Monsoon's able to get a bunch of shots, I think Whiplash is done. But I think Whiplash is a lot faster than Monsoon, and they can get under Monsoon a lot better. But now we move on to the rankings. My live rankings. And I will retool this a little bit. If you weren't watching Green Square Talks BattleBots, I got a lot of flack about my rating system. And while there were like good points to say, at the end of the day, it's my ranking system. It's loosely based off of college football, and like a Tantrum, even though it has one loss, could easily be like a free shipping who won their fight. So it's not necessarily about win-loss record. Like, I would never put Switchback ahead of Blip. Never in my life. But it's about how the bot is built, how like the strength of schedule, who it's fought, and yada yada yada. But there were points that were made. And before we even edit this, I'm gonna put Copperhead up into the top 10. I think it deserves it more. We're gonna move Mad Catter up to 7 for now, and Copperhead up to 8. Blip and Riptide will move down. Tantrum will move up to the 9 spot for now. That's probably going to change because Black Dragon's probably getting into the top 10. It looked good. It looked solid against Monsoon. And you look at this list, Quantum is such a interesting fight. That's going to be great. That's going to be really good to see what happens. I'm just going to move these guys down. But Black Dragon, I believe, was in the 15th spot, and I think it deserves the 9th spot. Very solid win for Black Dragon. And then you have a robot that's Monsoon. 23. We saw its potential. We definitely saw its potential in the fight. It's not going to go down too much. It's only going to go down to 25, which I think is, you could have it a lot worse with Monsoon. But Monsoon, good loss. It was able to get some shots off and continue that. We're going to do the other robots that have one win. Overhaul. Where does Overhaul go? Great question. I don't know. I think Overhaul is good. I think it's better than Switchback. It's in this range of like mid-tier robots that can perform well. Like that's where it really is. Yes, I think this is where it should go. I And also looking at this, I'm going to move Claw Viper up 2 spots. For now. I'd only beat Ominous. It's going to go up if it beats Ribot. Like, that's a big win in my book. All right, Beta. Beta has a good win under its belt. I think I might have had it too low. It was at 29 earlier. Am I overcompensating? I don't think I am. I think this beta is a way different beta than what it was before. If this was like 2020 beta and it got the win, it would only move up a couple spots in my opinion. But I think that's a good win for beta. For Kraken, good loss for Kraken. I believe I'm just gonna put it right under Overhaul. Because it performed well. It performed well, and we're waiting to see how well it can do in an actual win. It faces Lucky, which will be an interesting fight for sure. Horizon go off in the sunset. Oh, I forgot to put Starchild somewhere. Oh no. Oh no, it's going to go up to the 40 spot. Did a lot better than I thought. In my heart, Starchild is terrifying and will always be in the 50 spot. But, after that win, I think Shred It Bro is 45, and I think it's going to stay at 45. Actually, why is Triton genuinely better than Shred It Bro? Triton did a lot more in its loss than Shred It Bro did in its win. Yeah, this feels right. All right, cool. We have Malice here. Malice, honey, you're not doing good. I don't remember where Malice was before I did this. I might check later and put it in the comments or something. It didn't look good. This might be another time where a robot won and got a lower ranking, which is crazy. Which is crazy. But it did not look good in its win at all. Emulsifier is also probably going to get a little bit lower because of its reliability issues. I think I'm going to put it below Switchback but above Gigabyte. That feels good. That feels right. I'm also, so I don't get shat on. Also, Big Dill did more than Shred It Bro. We'll do this. We'll put Trenton and Big Dill up ahead of Captain Shredderator. All right. And now we have some of the most interesting ones. I think Quantum is top 10. I think Quantum has officially cemented its place in the top... Nope. Oopsie poopsie. In the top 10 spot. I think it will go number 10. For now. Good win. It's going to continue to, the ball will keep on rolling uphill. Faces Black Dragon next, which top 10 matchup. Oh my goodness. That's going to be great. Please make this a main event. If it's not a main event, I will be so upset. This has to be a main event. Two teams that looked really good. But now we have Gruff. I think I think this is the spot where Gruff goes. I mean, it was just kind of sitting there. Gruff might not have moved at all. Gruff might not have moved at all. That's actually kind of funny. Would it do better than Overhaul? Actually, I'm gonna. No, this is good. This is good. This is fine. We have Hypershock. I think Hypershock is gonna go at the 11th spot, being gate kept by all these guys that have only won fights. And where do we put Whiplash? Where do we put Whiplash? I feel like Glitch is too high. We're going to move Glitch around as well. Yeah, Glitch at 27 makes sense. Where do I put... And Ribob might be a little too high. They're definitely going to move up. I'm struggling where to put Whiplash. I think I am going to put Whiplash at 21. Not saying it's a bad robot, but 2 losses is hard. And 2 losses where the first one you didn't look great and the second one you looked better in, but it's obvious your robot is not looking the best. All right. Quick run through of the top of the rankings. At number 50, we got the absolutely dog shit Horizon. Then we got Banshee, who is very mid. Shred It Bro would be higher if it actually, looked good, but it didn't look good at all. So sorry, Shred It Bro, you need to get more gains, man. Captain Shredderator, some might say this is too high. I don't care. All these robots, I feel like, are worse than that guy. Maybe Shred It Bro is better. Actually, Shred It Bro is probably better than Captain Shredderator. Big deal. What's the big deal about them? You know what I'm saying? Triton looked okay. I definitely should have moved up Triton higher in last week's ranking. Ripperoni, it got end game. That's going to be a tough fight for them. Ominous has Shred It Bro, which honestly is definitely a win for Ominous. Not even going to lie to you. Mammoth and Starchild, 2 giant robots that, I mean, for Starchild is exceeding expectation, but I don't know about Mammoth. Mammoth is just kind of here. We got Gigabyte at 40, driven by 2 children. Not looking great. Emulsifier, even though it is 0-2, my bad. Solid fight against Fusion, less so against Malice, even though they get a good shot in. Number 38 is Switchback EB Banshee. Banshee isn't good, so it's not going to be super high on the list. Malice might be the most recent benefactor of winning a fight and going down to the ranking because it did not look good. At 36, we have Kraken. Good loss, but we'll need to get more wins in order to move up in the rankings. Definitely, I would say from Kraken on, these are like the fringe people for making it into the top 32. Overhaul at 35, honestly higher than what I would say that I thought when coming into this episode, but it looked good against Starchild when even the presenters discredited Overhaul for not being able to reach it. Hijinks at 34, pretty good spinner. Not the most impressive fight against Bid Dill. I'm not going to fix that. Valkyrie against Mammoth, sort of the same boat. Might put Hijinks higher after this list is done. Gruff at 32. I mean, it had the win against Ripperoni, and then Quantum. It tried stuff with Quantum, and it didn't work. We have free shipping at 31. It's going to face Minotaur, which will be an interesting matchup for sure. We have Death Roll, who honestly has 2 easy matchups, and then has Monsoon. So we'll see what happens with Death Roll. We have Lucky at 29. Bit of a rising star, in my opinion. Jackpot looking for a sign of life as it faces Rotator next time they fight. Glitch, I think I had a little too high, so we bumped it down to 27. And got Lockjaw, which is going to be a tough fight for it next. Claw Viper, which I think I had a little too low, gets moved up to 26. Very, very strong, looking like it's a very strong robot. Has Ribot next, which will be interesting to see what happens with that. We have Monsoon, who had a couple of good fights, shots against Black Dragon. Oh, same thing with Shatter, honestly. Both of them had great shots against their opponents, but both opponents just mopped the floor with them. We have Fusion that had a solid win against Emulsifier, very back and forth. It gets Witch Doctor next, which we'll see what happens in that fight. I believe that's next episode, so we won't have to wait long for that. Bloodsport got 1 hit KO'd. Moving on. Whiplash 0-2 at 21. Moving on. Ribot lost to Witch Doctor. Doesn't really have a bounce back game as everyone thought they would against Claw Viper. Beta looked a lot more aggressive and a lot better than its 2020 counterpart, and I think the stock could go way up with Beta. We got Lockjaw at 18. Solid win against Malice. Has Styleblaze next, which is a very tough matchup for it. We got Huge. Such a good design, and now that it has a good weapon, will continue to do well, even if it doesn't win fights, but it will still do well. We have Rotator against at 16. Maybe a little high. Might lower it after the episode is over. Scorpios at 15. Good win against Jackpot. I believe I had you a little too low, so I moved you up. Riptide at 14, moving down because a lot of the robots that fought in this episode looked really good, and we need to see another fight for me to actually say that it's a top 10 robot. We have Blip, who moved down a lot. Same thing with Tantrum. Tough losses and tough matchups, honestly, after this. We have Hypershock that had a bounce back win for sure, being gatekept by the best 2-0 robot, though it is the only 2-0 robot, so best and worst at the same time because it's the only one. Quantum looked great. My stocks are rising with Quantum. The British robot takeover is here, bro. We got Black Dragon, who had a great win against Monsoon. Copperhead getting the 1 hit KO, finally getting the respect it deserves from me, moving it up to 8, even though it didn't fight. I respect the 1 hit KO. Mad Catter beating Whiplash on a bunch of big hits is at 7. Number 6 is Cobalt, and the rest hasn't changed. Sawblaze at 5, Minotaur at 4, Hydra at 3, Witch Doctor at 2, and then End Game at number 1. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Comment on what you think about my video today, and I will see you next week for week 5 of BattleBots.